What's up? I'm Wile E. Coyote, voice of SpongeBob, the anime version of SpongeBob SquarePants, and you're watching the Anime Egotists.
Remember, F is not for failure, F is for friends, and it doesn't take a dose of secret formula to know that.
What's bonkin', guys, and welcome back to the Anime Egotists. My name's Alex, and honestly, if you guys have some of our most underrated episodes, let me know so I'm doing something right.
Exactly. I think we've got some underrated classics. And I'm Richard.
That's correct. And when it comes to anime, people talk about the best episodes, the worst episodes. We talk about our guilty pleasure episodes. And then there are the episodes that, for one reason or another, don't get talked about nearly as much.
Or, I guess, kind of get talked about in a bad way when there's still good to be found here.
Yeah, whether the episode itself did not get the love because people thought it was bad, or the show itself, because I have a couple of them where it's like, wow, this show is underrated, and the episode in question doesn't get talked about. It just anime episodes that, for one reason or another, people don't look at with the way they should.
Exactly. So, we decided to put our list together for the most underrated, the overhated episodes of anime.
That's correct. Would you like to start us off?
All right. So I put one, and I think you'll agree with me. Dragon Ball GT Episode 1. People hate this episode because they reset Goku down to a kid again. I mean, they just did the same thing with Daima, so it's not like they haven't gone back to the same plot point again, but I don't know. I just always actually kind of enjoyed this. You have the Pilaf gang showing back up after because they were not really in Dragon Ball Z. It's just a fun little episode. The show has its moments. I really do enjoy several arcs in GT. It does have its bad moments. It's definitely, in my opinion, the weakest of all the series. But this episode, it kind of gives a chance for Goku to start over. And we already seen the problems when they've tried to replace him as the main character. So I think it's an episode that people hate on because they want to see adult Goku, but overall, I think it's an underrated one.
I don't hate it, but I don't particularly love it, if I'm going to be honest. Then again, it's been like close to a decade since I've watched GT, so who knows? I do like how it does go out of its way to at least find a way to catch your attention. Sometimes that's a lot better than being boring. And I like seeing Trunks the way he is. I like him a heck of a lot more than I liked Kid Trunks for sure. But I do kind of get how it's like, oh, so we're just going back to what worked beforehand. Why not do something new? I understand a little bit, but I don't hate this episode.
Yeah, exactly. I think people underestimate GT overall. The first arc is weak, but once you get to the baby arc and then the Dark Dragon arc, those two sit really well and can go toe to toe with some of the better arcs in other series.
Yeah. That said, I've said before and I'll say it again, you don't have to hate GT just to like Super or vice versa. You could just like both or neither, or just have one just doesn't have anything to do with the other.
Exactly. And Akira Toriyama really wasn't involved with GT, so besides being like told, "Hey, we're creating another show."
Huh?
So
Yeah, but
I can
I can't fully co-sign, but I can partially co-sign. I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to sit down and watch it, but I can give it at least some praise.
exactly. And I'm the fact that they've kind of copied so many ideas from the show for Super and uh Daima is kind of funny 'cause, I mean, taking them back to being kids, the more powerful versions of the Dragon Balls have come up. Other like little aspects that GT did right, they've pulled into the modern version of the series.
It's perfectly fine with me. I even appreciate how GT is featured in Xenoverse.
Yeah. So that was my first one. What's your first one?
All right. Zatch Bell episode 17, Kiyo's Curry camping trip.
Okay.
So right before Zatch and Kiyo can go to London to spend time with Kiyo's dad, had summer vacations coming up, and everybody's like, "Hey, Kiyo!" All of Kiyo's classmates are saying that he promised to hang out with them, and which is a giant shift from the first two episodes when Kiyo didn't want anything to do with them and they didn't want anything to do with them. Once again, they started it, not Kiyo, but no one seems to remember that. But the interesting thing is, Kiyo, he starts panicking like, "Oh my God, I promised all this stuff. I don't remember any of it." But rather than the joke being, "Oh, how am I going to get out of all of this?" Kiyo actually thinks to himself, "How am I going to live up to everybody else's promises?" Like he actually goes out of his way. Like he plays ping pong with Susie, and I'm not going to pretend like I remember what her name is. He plays baseball with one of his other classmates. He tries fighting a dinosaur with Kane, and Zatch is dressed as the dinosaur. And it as silly of an episode as it is, it's also just really sweet because you get to see Kyo spending time with his classmate. And Zatch helping him out, and even him saying at the end, "Hey, I'm sorry, Zatch. I know you want to play with me. You wanted me to play with you, but I just didn't have time because you were so busy helping me." And Zatch was like, "No, but I had fun doing all that stuff with you and your friends, so it's cool. It's a really sweet episode."
I can completely co-sign. This is one of those. It also helps highlight Kiyo's growth from the start of the series, where he's a complete loner, hates everybody, to the point where he now actually likes his classmates and wants to hang out with them. And he wants to live up to the expectations they now have of him, instead of being like the loner who doesn't want to do anything. So I love this episode. It's really nice change of pace, especially from all the battles we've seen up to this point. And it
Yeah.
gets just more dark as it goes from here.
Yeah, especially because the episode beforehand, when they battle Robnos is like, "Hey, I found a Momoto who looks just like Zatch." And once we learn more about that said Momoto, things get a little complicated. And I also love how in the beginning, and when they're like, "Oh, Kiyo, you promised me this," like everybody's listing what Kiyo owes them. He's like, "I guess I can figure it out." And then one guy stands up. He's like, "What about me? You promised to help me." And Kiyo's like, "Okay, no, I don't. I draw the line at making promises to people who I've never met before. I don't know who you are." And he still helps him in the end.
Yeah. I like that because don't they go looking for aliens as well?
They go looking for UFOs. Yeah, that's the one I'd have to skip because and of course, Kyo makes curry, and they make it too spicy. Which once again, I'd say, look, if you put me in charge of curry, you're gonna eat what I eat. Unless it kills you, you better be grateful for it. Which I had to make curry for my parents a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I can't make this too spicy. I couldn't make it spicy, but just like I said, it's just a sweet episode of Key and shows just how much Kyo's grown.
Yep, I'll completely co-sign. My next one. All right. So I put this one's a kind of a set of episodes. It's a very short arc in the series. It's the Davy back fight from One Piece.
Okay.
This one could have been a guilty pleasure thinking back on it, which we just did that episode. So go back and watch it if you haven't seen it. Um, but this one is just, I know it's overhated because it comes between the Water 7 and the Skypiea arcs, if I remember correctly, or it's two very big arcs where this takes place. And it's just a nice change of pace. Helps set more of the tone for the world of just how crazy some of the rules and little things are that we get to see throughout One Piece. Um, are the Foxy Pirates annoying? Yes, but I think people hate on this because it feels so much like filler, but part of it's canon. This is a legit thing in the manga, so uh, do they overstay? Probably a little bit, but I do like putting this as Oda thought of this, so it's part of the world.
Yeah, I always look, as much as I love seeing Luffy go Gear 5 and seeing Pudding's backstory and how Sanji was nice to her and all this other stuff, part of me just likes seeing goofier stuff. Part of me is, because kind of that's the One Piece I grew up with. Granted, part of that was because of 4 kids, but there's still part of it that's like, I like the sense of humor. I like the silliness.
And we still get stuff like this today. Like when we go, it's usually in between arcs or for a movie that's coming out. They'll do a like one-off that shows something silly. I mean, they've done a whole set of episodes that take place in like Edo, Japan. So it's like these weird one-off things still happen, but I think these are just hated because the Foxy Pirates can be annoying, but I like the idea of like, oh my God, we could lose a crew member because we gambled them away in a random game of canoe racing.
What? We haven't done that before?
Don't ask where Nathan is.
Eh, I wasn't asking. And that's it. One of my favorite One Piece. It's not on my list. One of my favorite episodes is it's a chopper themed episode, and it has little to no semblance on the plot. But he just hangs out with pro wrestling legend Minoru Suzuki. Never gets brought up again. No one talks about it. But I like it also because I feel like if I don't like it, he'll show up and like I'm legitimately scared of the man. But I could definitely understand it not necessarily the most plot driven, but I can still appreciate the silliness of One Piece sometimes.
Yeah, so as I said, it's just a nice little change of pace.
Yeah, I can go sign.
All right, your next one?
All right. Naruto episode 78, Naruto's Ninja Handbook.
Okay.
All right, so this is around the time where Naruto is going up against Gaara. We see the previous episode showed him being scared to fight Gaara as he's transformed. You can't blame the guy. But he
Mhm.
starts fighting and he's using his shadow clones more, and he's showing confidence and he's showing good tactics against him. He even uses the 1,000 years of death with the kunai, and no one thinks it's a good idea. And then he has a paper bomb on it, which would probably work against anybody else, but just it didn't work with Gaara. But as Gaara's recovering, Sasuke tells him, "Hey, Naruto, you take Sakura and get away from here as fast as you can. I'll hold him off. If I can't go any further, if I don't make it, this is just as far as I was meant to go. I'm not allowing my friends to die." And they reminisce on what Kakashi said about that. Naruto fights a little more, and it ends with him summoning Gamabunta. It's an episode that doesn't get the most talk because the Konoha Crush arc also just doesn't get talked about all that much. But it's just a really good arc of Naruto regaining his confidence in that fight, and also how Sasuke, like Loki, Sasuke kind of influenced him and helped give him the strength to keep fighting. Hey, not to mention the combos work. It's a sillier episode because it's a sillier episode because as Gamabunta shows up, he's like, "You want to help me?" And Gamabunta's like, "Take a hike." No. Oh, but it's a really crucial episode. I don't think it's the love it deserves.
Because son, it took me a minute to remember exactly what all went on in this one, but I like as you said, the comedy that they kind of add with the moves they use, because it's kind of in the middle of some like the first really heavy stuff where characters that we know are dying off and getting heavily injured and stuff. So there's a lot in this kind of time period of the series.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, it's also the episode that ends with Gamabunta saying, "Hey, we can knock him out, but we need a combined transformation. So Naruto, think of something." And of course, he picks the nine-tailed fox. Knowing the Swordfish trauma, you probably could have picked something else, but hey, it was cool enough that I'm like, I can excuse it.
What you didn't realize is that the entire village went on high alert because the nine-tailed fox was now in the vicinity. So
Let's see, fight Orochimaru or the nine-tailed fox? I'll take the fox. I'll take my bets on the fox.
I stand more of a chance against the fox than Orochimaru.
Yeah, that said, and this was also the first. I actually did some research on this. This was the first Naruto episode to have the opening go. Yeah, that it's the one that started all and was also part of my love from like, oh God, anime music is kind of awesome.
The earlier Naruto openings as well, but
Yeah.
Go is definitely like the one that like I just sit there and listen to on repeat sometimes.
Yeah. It's a really good arc, amazing opening, and it just shows Naruto's growth, and it does help remind, hey, Sasuke didn't start off like this. Like, he did care about people to some extent.
Yeah, this is kind of the peak of him and Naruto's friendship before they start going their separate ways for the rest of the series.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Jiraiya's like, "Oh, well, I guess I have to go find this person. I could have taught you all the jutsu. I'll just see if Sasuke wants to go." I'm like, that actually, Jiraiya might have been able to save Sasuke. He might have been able to make him a happier person, but that's another point for another day.
That is an interesting what if.
Yeah, but just it's one of my favorite episodes. Even when I was a kid, I loved it.
Decide. Uh, my next one. So I put Pokemon, but Betrayed, Bothered, and Beleaguered. This is from Journeys. This is right after Riolu hatches and Pikachu runs away.
Uh, proceed.
I can understand a little bit of is it perfect? No, because Pikachu and Ash are together forever. But I like the idea of an episode that shows that Ash has got an idea of training somebody else, so Pikachu gets upset and runs off because Ash refuses to pay attention to him. I like the little bits of the like just going on his own journey, just to go back to Ash's mom's house, but it's just kind of a random episode. I can see why people don't like it because again, Ash and Pikachu, they're going to be best buds forever. But it also kind of shows that best buds do fight on an occasion, so they always find their way back at the end.
Okay, so I think my problem with this episode is not necessarily it happening, it's more the placement. We've seen Ash spend time with Chimchar or Skeptile. We've seen him spend time with all of these other Pokemon. And so why is Pikachu just now getting jealous over it? Especially because it's a baby. And so to me, and you might think, oh, well, Ash still should have been kinder to Pikachu. But considering all the stuff, it's been years since I've seen the episode, that Pikachu kind of put Mr. Mime through when Mr. Mime's like, hey, are you sure this is a good idea? I don't know. It showed me a side of Pikachu where I'm like, on the one hand, I'm glad we get to see more of Pikachu's personality, but on the other hand, I'm like, I'm, this is, I don't know how I feel about this.
But I put it on here. I think a lot of people really hate this episode, but I think it's just an interesting little story. And again, if it was placed slightly differently, I think it would be considered not necessarily maybe one of the greats, but one of those that you actually remember on a regular basis.
Yeah. That and I remember Ash showing up at his home being like, "Hey, Chloe talked to me, explained why you're feeling." I'm like, "Show like it's the biggest, it's what you do in storytelling. Show Chloe going off on him, but just say yeah. Do I like the episode? No. Do I think it's my least favorite episode of Pokemon? I don't know. I've been thinking about myself doing a video of what's the worst Pokemon episode from each series, and I don't know. Journeys is a hard one. Then again, the blue episode I feel like is the worst thing they've ever done. So who knows?
You might have to take that one out and go, okay, besides the blue episode, because I've looked online, that one, there's no defending that episode.
No, no. The episode with the Kling Clang joke, it at least made me laugh. And after months of therapy, but still.
Yeah, but looking back, Journeys was a little disappointing overall.
Well, things are going to get weird because I don't have a Journeys episode on my list, but I have an episode that, well, I'll talk about later. But I can go sign for now.
So your next
Sort
one?
of. Okay. Soul Eater Not, episode 6. This is a real fight.
Okay.
So the three main girls, Sugumi, Anya, and Mei are this is the episode where they meet Liz and Patty. Now, granted, this is before Liz and Patty have met like the main cast of the original Eater, well, outside of Kid. But you get to learn more, see more about them. Like, remember, their mom threw them away, and the two of them were on the streets. And the episode starts with this really sad imagery of seeing Patty like in this nice dress and she's happy and she's dancing. And then the second that ends, it shows them running away on the streets, like rain's pouring down. They're both scared. You're just getting a glimpse into Liz's mind of, hey, I wish I could give this life to Patty, but we're doing everything we can to survive, but neither one of us are truly happy. The three main girls meet the sisters, and they don't get along at first because Liz and Patty are kind of a nightmare to start. But they do teach them a lesson during a fight where it's like, hey, you can't look. You can try to fight fair, but not everybody's going to fight fair against you. You have to keep that in mind. And meanwhile, Sugumi keeps going back to the cafe almost every day because she wants one, she wants to order for herself, and two, she wants to get to know these girls better. And when she finally stands up to them against a rude customer, Liz kind of goes, you're kind of insane, you know that? But it is the start of them becoming friends and their boss saying, hey, people are going to treat you poorly, but the people who treat you with kindness and respect, you could at least try to open up to that in a sense. You've earned that much at least. It's a really nice episode to show like what Liz and Patty were like beforehand, before they turned into the characters we all know and love, and it's the perfect mix of the characters from the original series and the not series, and just how they play off each other.
Because I haven't seen Soul Eater Not still, so I don't know these characters, but I think I like the idea of an episode that just gives a little bit more, because I mean it's heavily implied that like uh they would rob people and all that, and that's how Kid found them. So learning like where they were before the series, but after they've met Kid. So how far have they come from that point, and then how far they still have left to go before they
Yeah.
become what we know in Soul Eater.
Yeah, the one kind of weird thing about the episode is the main trio watches this, I guess, detective gangster show. To start, yeah, yeah, yeah. And one of the characters, and I want to say it's May May, says, "I don't want to go back to that cafe. I'm scared they were gonna pop a cap in us." And I'm like, "What? Who's?" Oh, and Anya, the stuck-up rich girl tsundere, is like, "You need to get out. There's no way they can mess with us." See, I'm like, who's writing these episodes? Did the Soul Eater cast just go, "Hey, you want to watch a detective movie? Want to watch a gangster movie? Yeah, let's do it. Let's incorporate it into the script." It it's silly, but it ends just before it gets bad. But the first, even rewatching it, I'm just like, yeah, yeah, okay, sure, all right, sure, okay.
Oh god, it sounds like kind of the perfect Soul Eater episode almost, though, as well, because it's got the comedy, it's got a little bit of like tension, but it's not a serious episode. Like I can co-sign. It sounds like a really entertaining episode.
Yeah. The only other thing is we get a little bit with two other characters who I guess are kind of supposed to be like espionage guys, but th- I don't know. They're interesting characters, but I kind of said before, I kind of wish they got just a little bit more to work with.
I mean, Soul Eater not didn't last more than one season, right? It was like one
I
season and
mean,
done.
it was it was it was that one season, and then they said, well, that's it, because apparently the manga wasn't that much longer either.
Man, none of Soul Eater can make it all the way to the actual end of their story, can it?
No,
Whether
but
that's a
the
good thing or a bad thing, we don't know.
well, based on what I've seen for the Soul Eater not anime, I like the anime ending better than the manga ending. Not to mention, I feel bad for Fire Force because everybody's saying once Fire Force is over, Soul Eater can come back with a remake. I'm like, can't you just celebrate Fire Force? No? Oh, okay, sure.
Their universes are connected.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, it's just a better look at Liz and Patty, who in all honesty are up there with my favorite characters, maybe right below Lord Death. But just you get to see the just especially the first scene that shows just what Liz wanted for Patty and just how sad it genuinely hits you.
So as I said, I haven't seen it, but it sounds actually really entertaining, and I like the idea of gangster talk in a
Yeah,
random anime. By
yeah, but let's move on to your next one before they show up and pop a cap in our asses or whatever the hell she
all
said.
right, I put My Hero episode like a song. This episode takes place in the middle of an arc. They cut to um like a supposed to be a training session. It's actually an episode that leads into a move, uh, one of the movies, actually specifically the first one. So I know a lot of people don't like it when arcs get interrupted, but this one didn't necessarily bother me because we haven't really gotten to see much of their training besides like they do the like this really intense training, but how do they treat things when they're involved more in like a crime scene instead? That's not shown until this episode. And then so you have All Might playing a dead villain, a whole bunch of hostages in a jewelry store, and you get like these teenagers trying to guess what happened, only for it to be revealed that like they have this grand idea that All Might, the villain, was had an accomplice with Midnight, one of the fake hostages, and uh, all this, and they think they've solved it. That they because of this love thing, only for them to fail because they'd never checked to see if All Might was actually dead. So he just runs out with all the loot, and they're like fail, and it's like just it's that perfect mix of showing what a teenager would really think because they don't have that actual training to understand how to solve a crime.
It low-key reminds me of when Jabari ever said, when our friend Jabari ever says, "What would you rather have, this or this?" And then everybody would answer, but then I'd be like, "Wait, can I have both?" He'd be like, "Yes, you can have both." Okay, I'll take both. Like it sounds like it's that almost that level of trolling in a sense.
I know it's not canon because it leads to a movie that so there's a combination of reasons I don't think it's late. It's in the middle of the licensing exam arc. They it is all oh god uh filler to expand the season slightly and prepare you for the movie. I think it's Two Heroes is the movie title, and that it's preparing you for because it ends with them with All Might getting a call from Melissa, which is a character from the movie, and then it ends. And it's just one of those it's kind of the perfect mix of hilarity because of how outrageous they try to solve the mystery. But I understand why people hate it because it kind of interrupts the flow of the season that it was in.
Yeah, yeah. It does sound like one of those episodes where if you skip it, you really probably don't miss a whole lot in a sense. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
I would probably like so before they go to the licensing exam, I would probably watch this episode and treat it as if it's like part of their training for it. Like if it was placed earlier in the season, it'd be like perfectly placed, and I think people would actually really enjoy it. I think
Yeah.
that's the main problem with it.
Yeah, I think that was my stance with the Journey's Pikachu Ash bickering episode. Like, put this. Well, for my hero would be put a couple of seasons or a couple of episodes beforehand. But for the Pokemon ones, like you have to go back a decade either. But yeah, I can definitely I can co-sign even if I haven't seen it.
It's just fun, so that's why I put it on my list.
Sometimes that's all you need.
All right, so your next one.
All right, last one before honorable mentions. Oh boy, Turkey Time to Strike episode 9, right in the pocket together.
What was that?
Turkey Time to Strike. You don't. Are you not listening to me anymore? Do we have to go back to counseling before we figure this out?
Maybe, but this is a new one for me. I think.
Yeah, Turkey Time to Strike. It's about a bunch of girls in a bowling club together.
Is this that isekai?
Yes.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So, well, it's the first time I'm talking about it. So, a bunch of girls in the bowling club get sent back to the Sengoku period, and they have to deal with stuff like, how do I deal with my period in the Sengoku period? How do I go to the bathroom in the Sengoku period without messing up the timeline? Hey, is it murder if it's self-defense? Just that's that sort of stuff.
Wow. Okay. Those things are not necessarily all the same level of like mess.
Nope, not even a little bit. But episode 9, the place where the girls are staying, they stumble into a supposedly abandoned room where a girl named Akebi has been staying. Now, they've never seen this girl's face before because she has a mask over it the whole time. And with right as so the sisters the girls are staying with, they see, oh, you've discovered the room. Now they pull out a sword, and one of the sisters tries to take their own life, and it's like, why? It's like because you saw our secret, and now we've brought shame upon ourselves. elves. And kind of the story with the sisters is that their land is being taken over and pillaged. And the girl Akebi was supposed to be killed when she was younger. Her twin sister Sumomo was supposed to be married off to somebody, and the deal was, okay, if you get married off, then the land will be safe. But if not, we're killing everybody. Now, the problem is it's because a fortune teller said, "Hey, if you have twins, one of them's a good one, and the other will bring misfortune." So Akebi was hidden, because her father didn't have it in his heart to kill his own daughter. Here, and it's just about the girls in the bowling club saying, "Hey, this seal's look, we can get back to our own time, but like we should at least try to help them while we're here." And it's a really heavy episode because they later see Akebi trying to take her own life again, and later admits, "Hey, I was the second twin. I was the one who was supposed to bring misfortune. You're the one who should be living right now." Now, so the main character Mai proposes it's, well, let's have a game of bowling to decide. If we whoever wins has to take their own life. Yes, I am dead serious. Hear me out. Hear me out. Oh, but the
Okay.
episode continues, and they all start having fun over it, and the episode just slowly transitions into they all are enjoying themselves, and and Akebi says, "Sumomo, you're the one who spends time with people. You're the one who makes them smile. So you should continue to live." And the main character Mai, she speaks up and says, "Look, I can't imagine what you guys are going through. Oh, and I know that every day for you is going to be hard, and that you might think that ending it all is the best case scenario. But if it's possible to have some bad days, isn't it possible to have some good days? Once you're gone, you don't get that anymore. And everybody's fighting for you to stay alive. So do you really want to take that away from them?" And it's a really heartfelt episode, just dealing with accepting that people love you, and it's like just in the sense of like, look, there are always better options than going through with the worst case scenario, and it just shows the girls in a good light of, hey, we're stuck here, but we're at least going to help you while we can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of how to like respond to this episode because I've seen little bits and pieces of this series, and I watched Isekai, and I'm like thrown off by this series,
Yeah, it's also
and
not. So keep going.
that was pretty much it.
Yeah, it's also nice because one of the main girls, Rena, who kind of is like, oh, we're part of a club together, but I wouldn't necessarily say we're friends, and she's closed off. She's like, hey, maybe you say you want your sister around because she smiles and you don't really cause people to smile, but why don't you try smiling? I'm not good at it either, but I'm learning to. I don't know. It's a really sweet, touching moment, and just a reminder that the show is basically telling you, hey, it's gonna be okay. It's not gonna be easy, but it's gonna be okay.
I mean, anytime that you have an episode where they cast help somebody overcome their darker nature, uh, like self-harm implications, they can it can be a really nice episode.
Yeah, yeah. A quote from Reddit said, "Did a bowling isekai to just talk about how taking your own life isn't worth it and make me tear up? Can't say I saw that coming. It's mine. It was my comment."
As I said, I'll co-sign. I don't know about this one. It seems so weird, but it looks kind of funny as well. So
I can't fully describe it. Like I mean, I guess I recommend it because I think the series is good, but you have to get through some stuff with it.
all right. So all right. Honorable mentions time.
Let's do it.
All right. So my first honorable mention, I have Dr. Stone, Beautiful Science. So this is right after they've kind of started their journey to the new world where they're supposed to discover who petrified the world. And they discover that, but they have to get stuff from the Soyuz capsule that Senku's dad was in when the world was petrified. And so they're going to this island that exists on. Well, they find out that pretty much the island's run by a dictator who has a compound. There's a couple villages on the island, but at the compound, he really only has his elite guard, which are just all brain dead muscle meatheads, his elite soldiers who are just like his generals and that are actually competent, and then he brings in kind of concubines. So with half the crew already petrified and seemingly lost, they are down to like uh, the last few, and the only way they can get in is by sending in um, one of their members disguised as a girl. So they develop all this science and stuff, or not disguised as a girl. She is a girl, but she's a tomboy. So they're trying to beautify her. So it's like I'm just trying to describe it. A lot of people hate it because it's like all against her nature, but it all makes sense because they don't have a muscle meathead to send in. If they send in a new general, he's going to get attacked anyway. So their only option is to send in people disguised as concubines, and that's it. So they have to spend the episode like developing makeup, which uh, to make things work. So it's just a kind of weird episode.
Does she at least get treated like, do they humiliate her? Does she do cool stuff in this moment?
So when she gets captured or not captured, but becomes a concubine and goes there, she still gets to do her like high flying jumps and running through the treetops and all that to try to get the items that they need. So she still gets to have all of her normal moments, but it's kind of that episode where they make her uncomfortable with herself because of it, and then uh, but they're like, you're still the badass under all this. You just have to do this because we need to rescue all of our friends before we can continue.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. You always have to be really careful about that because it sounds like in this case, for the most part, it was done well. Meanwhile, you get other anime where it's like, ha, look at the joke. This guy's dressing up like a girl, and it's just like, okay, what's the joke?
They do this as well because they decide that they need to send in another person, especially once the girl gets petrified, confirming that they've got what they need. So they send in, I think it's Ginro is his name, and he's the only one that they can actually disguise as a girl, they say, based on his art, his kind of feminine look. So they do that. I think it's either at the very tail end of this episode, but they don't. I think they do make fun of him, so that's the one part at the end is a little
Yeah,
off-putting, and I can understand this is not the best episode, which is kind of why it's an honorable mention.
I was about to say, oh, please tell me he owned it, because after all, Bugs Bunny used to dress and drag all the time, not because he had to, just for the love of the game.
Overall, I think it's just a fun episode, but it does have its problems, which is, as I said, why I made it
Yeah,
just honorable mention or an
maybe
honorable
well,
mention.
now I'll know going in if I ever give it a chance, but I'm still trying to watch new stuff. That's why I got done watching Bowling Isekai.
Find something new. I haven't watched much anime lately, so I'm kind of getting the same things over and over again.
Yeah. But my next one,
Go right ahead.
Black Clover episode or page 127, Clues.
Okay.
So after talking with Charlotte, Yami speaks with Gordon and he's like, "Hey, Gordon, your family knows curses, right? Maybe they can help us with these devils and we can get Asta's name cleared." And Gordon takes Asta, Gray, and Ghost to go see his family. And at this point, Gordon doesn't mumble anymore. You hear him perfectly, and everybody's able to understand him. So Gordon's like, Asta's like, "Oh, hey, Gordon. So what's your family like? Why did you decide to become a black bull?" It's just like, "Well, my family dealt with curses a lot in my life, and I wasn't really able to communicate with people. And he's kind of implying that his family were not always good people. Oh, and it's just a side of Gordon because look, the joke that he's the creepy guy only lasts so long. When you learn that he's actually a genuinely kind, compassionate person, and when they meet his family and they all have the exact same face, even the dog.
I remember seeing bits and pieces of this and going, well, we met Gordon's family.
Yeah, they're pretty much just like it. Him, they have this feast of all this weird looking food with like eyeballs and stuff, and Gray and Ghost are horrified, and Austin's like, man, it all looks weird, but this is actually really tasty. Even though unfortunately there's a frame where you see him put a spoon in his mouth and start chewing, but if you look at the spoon, there was nothing on it, so it just looks like Austin's eating air because he's stupid.
Right. I think I remember seeing like bits and pieces where because don't his family mumble, but he's now
Yeah,
talking normal.
yeah, pretty much.
Is this before or after they break in and free Asta from the court?
This is after I think this is after her. But and it's interesting because his dad, do I even want to say his dad's name? His dad, Nathan, that's a, oh, that makes me sad. And his dad, Nathan, is looking into curses as well, and he's like, "Oh, that's interesting." And his magic jabs needles into Asta's throat, and then he retracts them. He's like, "Oh, you're perfectly healthy. You just have no magic." Kind of revealing that Gordon's dad actually is trying to find ways of helping them. He even reveals that he couldn't fix Asta's arms because like I just didn't have the information at the time. It's just a good arc for Gordon, and it's kind of a funny episode.
So I've seen I think most of this episode just through like scenes on like YouTube shorts and stuff. So I remember finding it like just enjoyable because again, we get Gordon, and any episode that has Gordon as like a main character is worth watching if Black Clover.
Yeah, there's also a little part of the episode where Noelle's trying to figure out what's the curse that took my mom. And it oddly enough, it's the same devil that Gordon's grandmother mentioned, which is a nice little bit of connecting the two. And she meets up with the Coral Peacock's captain Dorothy, the woman who's sleeping all the time, but then it turns out she's lively and bubbly. And she takes her to a dream world and it's like, hey, this is the devil that killed your mom. You need to prepare for this. But we also get Fantasy Asta, who's really into Noelle, and Fantasy Nozelle, who's like, oh, my darling baby sister. And then she blasts him because, yeah. And then Nozelle in the real world's walking around. He's like, why don't I suddenly just feel a chill?
He should. He should always feel a chill.
Yeah, but it's a silly episode, and it doesn't get talked about as much. But you get a little bit of insight into Gordon, and just Loki. Supposedly in the manga, he does something really cool after his training arc. So hopefully, I get to see that soon.
Really. All right. So my next honorable mention, I think you'll agree with this one. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Fate of the Pharaoh Part 3.
Okay.
So this is in the Rise of the Dragons, I think is the name of the arc.
Yeah.
It's season 4.
Yes.
It's the one where Yami plays the Seal of Orichalcos.
Really? The first few years of us doing this show, you constantly hated on that episode. Okay? Sure.
I've I've grown to actually appreciate it now that I think back on it. It's like it just shows how dark the Pharaoh actually kind of was. I mean, when you think about it, he was playing in these dark games. Yes, he ends up sealing them and all that for hundreds of, if not thousands of years. But it just it shows that he and Yugi do have completely different perspectives on everything, and that um, if the Pharaoh is allowed to run amok, it kind of pays homage to the season 0 version of Yugi or Yami, where he doesn't care. He's doing what he views as necessary to combat a darker evil. And he's like, oh, if I play the Seal of Orichalcos, I'm going to win and all this. And this time it backfires on him and he loses Yugi.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've ever hated this episode or moment nearly as much as everybody else. Else, it is kind of a case of, like I've said before, like, wait, why are you using the seal? Nothing's on the line. If you lose, then you just lose. But it also kind of works because it's like, hey, if you had just lost this duel without playing the card, it would have been a learning opportunity. You would have been fine. Hi, but you lost because of a dumb mistake you made, and you paid the well. No, Yugi played the. You know what I mean? He paid the price for it.
Yeah. So, can you still hear me? Sorry, my mic just
Yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah. You're fine.
Okay, sorry. My mic fell over, so I had to double check. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think I've come to just like think about this and realize it's a good way of separating Yugi from Yami at this point,
Yeah.
like the difference in mindset that they have. So I just decided to add it to my list. I know this is the most hated arc in the original series, and I think it's not as bad as people remember. I think there's some really good fun stuff, but there is some parts that are not great.
Any arc that has Joey and the villain turning into Saint Seiya characters and fighting each other, I can't hate. I can't fully hate.
No, that's actually kind of they have some of the most entertaining like random duels in here.
Yeah. And of course, it also leads to the meme of a Tem going, "It should have been me, not him. It's not fair," which is really sad. And then people have been turning it into a meme and like, "Oh, this is strayed very far from its original intent."
So like him taking out Weevil, and it's just like monster card, monster card, monster card.
And
It's just
Weevil,
like, oh my god, he's already
and I'm
dead.
just like, "Oh no, it's Weevil. It's okay." Meanwhile, Rex seemed legit. Like Joey seemed like he felt bad. Like, "Rex, I'm sorry, I have to beat you, but I'm gonna save you," which he almost kind of does. But yeah, I don't hate this episode. Like, part of me is just kind of accepted. He used the seal. Okay, I think part of me is also just sort of moved on from when I was younger.
Yeah, that I guess my mind on this one has just changed over the years. I can see why people don't like it because people want him to be the hero, but he's more of a dark character, the other side of the coin to Yugi. So that's kind of it displays that a bit more.
Yeah. Plus, I like Raphael. Still don't really know why, but I like Raphael.
I just want an episode of Raphael running around screaming "King of Games,
He is
bitch!"
he is indeed the king of games, so I'm okay with that.
All right. So your next honorable mention?
All right. Pokemon Sun and Moon episode 115, The Dealer of Destruction.
Okay.
All right. First, the episode starts with Kukui and a lot of other people in Alola announcing, "Hey, the Alola League is going to get started. It's not starting yet because we want you guys to get ready, eat, and we have to build the stadium." It's an honorable mention because I'm still kind of on the fence of, do I like the fact that everybody in the Alola League is allowed to compete, or does there need to be like some hard and fast requirements for them? So that's kind of why I put it here. But to me, what makes the episode really good is that this is the first episode we see Guzma in the Sun and Moon anime, and things change from here. The problem with Team Skull, as much as I love them for their goofy antics, is you don't take them seriously. They're a nuisance. Guzma is a threat. Guzma has strategies. They're a little unconventional, but does still fight fair. Here, and it's him saying, "I'm going to wreck this league before it even starts." You might not be rooting for him. Well, I am, but at the same time, like there's an intrigue about him, and you get to know more. You just get the little glimpses of him, and the fact that he pretty much beats Ash handily. It kind of makes the heroes go, "Oh, we really have to take this seriously."
No, so I'm not 100% sure if I saw this episode, but I've seen a lot of the ending of Sun and Moon. I kind of skipped the middle part, so I've seen the tournament, I know. I've seen Guzma, and the fact that he makes it as far in the tournament shows just how much of a threat he is. So I can definitely co-sign that. And I enjoy him as a character, as that kind of disgruntled other side to Kukui.
Yeah, yeah, and the fact that Kakui's kind of just like, "Hey guys, I have a class I have to get back to class when Team Skull shows up." But then the second Guzma pops in, he's like, "What do you? What? You're just gonna run away like you always do?" Kind of showing, "Oh, these two have beef," and I feel was it handled perfectly? It was, so yeah,
Yeah, as I said, I'll co-sign. I do like the idea of a professor having a rival.
yeah. Yeah. That said, this is also the episode where Team Rocket and Team Skull have a rap battle. It's uh,
It's something.
Yeah, it's yeah. Team Skull won. No, it wasn't. I love Team Rocket, but it wasn't even close.
I'll co-sign. I don't. I think I started like shortly after this episode, but I just. Mm.
Yeah, it's just not an episode that gets talked about because people talk about with the Sun Moon anime. Oh, Stoutland dying, Mallow's mom, Ash winning the league. No one really, I know, really talks about this episode because I think Sun and Moon, the anime, is both underrated and overrated at the same time. It's weird.
I eventually plan to finish, like, go through the middle part. Because I've seen all of the first season, the start of the second, and I think all of the third. So I'm missing like this most of the second season.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe let us know if we need to rewatch Sun and Moon and maybe talk about, or just talk about our Ellie, or just watch our Elio Celine video. That I mean, that's it's a hell of a lot shorter, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, what's your last honorable mention?
My last honorable mention is the final episode from Food Wars. So season 5, episode 13. Um, the people hate this episode because Soma loses in the end, and then proceeds to follow in his dad's footsteps and leave to explore the world. But I kind of understand it. So this entire fifth season is kind of separate from everything else that's happened in the series up until this point. With the final kind of part of the season being focused on the fact that Erina is terrified of becoming her mother, who also has the god tongue, because if the food isn't cooked perfectly, it becomes inedible to them. And it's all about them overcoming that, and specifically Erina overcoming that. And I kind of like the idea that she wins in the end. She manages to overcome. She's kind of grown from her tsundere characteristics. She still more playfully has them, but it's not her, like, main characterization anymore, which is what I like. And I like the idea that Soma then decides, you know what, I've reached the peak here. Right? I mean, he hasn't beaten Erina. Erina's the director of the school, and he's never beaten her in a culinary battle. But he wants to grow stronger. If she's the only one that he can't beat now, then he wants to go explore the world to discover other ways of cooking. I like that story arc. I like the idea of him going off like his dad did before him and becoming that much better. He actually has already beaten his dad at something by becoming the first seat in the uh and all that. So just the combination of everything I feel like fits the character. I understand why people hate it because he doesn't win, but that's kind of the whole mindset I have.
But my question, does him wanting to be, or I guess becoming more like his dad, is that built up to? Does he have a philosophy of I want to be just like my dad, or I can't be like my dad? Or it's just sort of it's just what he comes to.
He grew up in the restaurant his dad ran, having like daily culinary battles to try to beat his dad.
Okay.
So uh, I just like the idea that this is his next step is going on this adventure. So I put this one on my list because I think it is the right ending. People hate it, but I like it.
Yeah. I'm okay with especially I don't know, it always bothers me when people say stuff like I don't like this episode because the main character loses. Like the main shouldn't the main character losing to me is a lot more interesting. It's why I'm okay with Ash Ketchum losing. Like I'm like, oh, it's more interesting to see when he loses big battles, not when he wins everything like most people seem to want him to.
And Erina feels like the one that needs to win here. like she's coming to the point where she can say, "Hey, I've made it to the point where my gut tongue won't take me over. I'm going to be able to make stuff, or I'll have people in my life who can make food that I will always be able to eat."
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I'll ever give it a chance because, like, I look at the food and Food Wars, I'm like, I'm hungry now. And I just ate 10 seconds ago. But I can still appreciate it and see it as more than just the show where people eat and their clothes come off.
Yeah. All right. But that's kind of all I had for that one. I know it's heavily disliked, but I wanted to put it on my list.
Yeah, I can understand that.
All right. So your last honorable mention?
All right. It's a three-parter. Yukio GX episodes 141, 2, and 3. What lies beneath?
Okay.
So after the Supreme King has sent Jim to the stars, yeah, that's what they're calling it. Axel runs all off and he's shaking. He's fearful, and everybody is kind of wondering what are the next steps. And the thing about Axel is that he grew up. His father raised him raised him to be no nonsense, very tough military background. And he ran away because the Supreme King just had that type of power over him. Meanwhile, Cyrus and a couple of dual spirits are trying to figure out where Jaden and Jesse are. And it's just an interesting episode because you see Axel, who started off as just brave and confident, you see him shaken and him slowly gain his confidence back, and how he even goes out of his way to save Maiden of the Aqua when she's being attacked. Heck, meanwhile, Zane and Aster are trying to round up monster spirits to help them take down the king. It's actually kind of an interesting look of, hey, these are the monsters that are the good guys, and these are the monsters that are the bad guys, even though it's probably a little more black and white than that, but I don't know.
Most of the big name cast, at least up until this point, get to have a moment in this episode.
Yeah, yeah, and when Axel finally gains his confidence back, and he's like, okay, you guys stay over here and fortify the defenses. You guys help anybody who's injured, and he even looks down at little kid and says, and I need you to make sure all the kids are hidden. Can you do that? You just see a leader. You see him become a real leader, and it's nice. It's just nice because seeing him scared was messed up, especially when he was a loner, and then he admitted that he felt bad because he couldn't save Jim, who he called his best friend. And he goes up against the Supreme King and some of his henchmen, and you get a really weird line where he says, "It's not about what you do when you're scared. It's not about you being scared. It's about what you do when you're what you do when you are scared." And one of the monsters says, "Oh, who told you that? Grand Tiki Elder?" I'm like, "Oh, so the Yu-Gi-Oh monsters just canonically talk trash about each other." Okay, sure.
I see it. I see it happening a lot,
Yeah.
especially with specific monsters like uh, Hain Hain. I see Hain Hain doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the episode and Axel says to himself, well, I'll challenge the Supreme King. If I win, his darkness goes away. And if I lose, then I go to the stars, but I'll fight knowing I did what I could. And it ends with a draw. Axel beats the main bad at this point. He gets sent to the stars, but Jaden is freed from the Supreme King's grasp. It's cool because it shows side characters doing more interesting stuff and being crucial. But I do kind of get why people are like, well, Chaz, Alexis, and everybody else, all of them are dead, are in the stars. So it felt like the season three characters just took over. But it was done well enough to where I was like, I really like this episode. I really like these episodes.
No sign. It sounds really entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, I do want to hear more monsters talk trash about each other. It's like, look, Grand Tiki Elder. That's such a random one, but sure. All right, okay.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's only the ones that are weaker than them that they get to talk smack about.
Yeah, yeah. Like, oh, yeah, yeah. That son of a bitch summoned Skull stole and scratched up my car and said, "Oh no, man, that was there when I pulled up. That was somebody else."
It turns out it really was. It was Dark Magician who caused the damage.
I believe it.
All right. So ready for my last one?
Let's do it.
All right. So I put Fairy Tale, Gray versus Cancer, Dance Battle. This is in probably one of the worst arcs in the entire series. All the celestial spirits have been corrupted and transformed into something else. They broke their contracts with Lucy and the other celestial spirit wizards, and they have to battle them in different ways to get them to kind of regain themselves and return to normal. And they have to do this before the celestial spirit king goes completely berserk. Um, it's just an like overall the arc is really not my favorite. I really don't care for it. But this episode has the stoic Gray dancing against uh Cancer, one of the celestial spirits, in a dance battle for this. And Gray slowly gains like confidence in himself, and then uh you just one of my favorite moments is that they cut to Juvia, the girl who always flirts and really loves Gray, and she goes, "I feel like I'm missing something amazing right now." And it's just the absolute perfect combination of hilarity and like action. I just this episode is if this episode was somewhere else against something else, it would be like much better. But it's just in one of those arcs that I can't necessarily get behind because you've got like Levy doing a like Jeopardy like game at the same time. So there's some weird stuff.
Does this ever get brought up again?
Nope, because it's not canon. It's a filler arc, and it's one of the best episodes that I can think of in a filler episode in a filler arc.
I don't have a whole lot more for that. I feel like somebody needed. I don't know if cameras exist in Fairy Tail. Then again, hair clippers, electric hair clippers exist in Black Clover. So who knows? But I feel like somebody needs to be like, hey, you keep talking smack. I'm sending this to everybody.
Yeah. So it's just, as I said, it is one of my favorite one-off episodes that if I've watched it by itself just to watch this like that moment.
Does Natsu have a reaction to this, or is he not in this?
Gray's like off by himself. They're in like the celestial spirit world, I think, at this point, and he's in Cancer's area of it, and that's what happens.
Okay, I don't have a whole lot more. I've never heard anything about Gray dancing, and I'm kind of scared to see it.
If you look it up on YouTube, I'm sure it'll pop up. He also wears a fedora.
I don't know if that helps or not.
I don't know either, but it's just a nice moment.
I guess I can co-sign, but now I'm concerned.
All right, so your last one.
All right, Windbreaker Season 2, Episode 4, Senpai's Teachings.
Okay.
All right, so after the battle with Keel, Sakura catches a cold, and his vice captains Nirei and Suo show up at his house, and they're like, "Hey, we just want to check up on you. Everybody got you these supplies and everything." And Sakura's a little annoyed by it, but he says, "It's okay. I've handled stuff like this before. I usually just do it on my own." And they kind of notice how Sakura's house, the house he's living in, it's kind of ragged. It's small. And at one point, Suo says, "Okay, we just wanted to check up on you. That's all." And he and Nirei talk and say, "Hey." And it's two different sides because Nirei's like, we have to do everything we can to make sure Sakura's happy. I just want him to know we're here for him. And Suo's like, I do too, but we also might overwhelm him in some cases. And it doesn't lead to an argument. It's just like, hey, one person goes a little overboard, and the one person might not go hard enough. And that's not a problem. It's just two different ways of doing things. But after a discussion with Kotoha saying, "Look, I get why you feel. Look, I kind of understand what you're going through, but you can open up. Like it's easier to rely on people. It's not easy to rely on people, but once you do, you realize how cathartic it is." And later, and the next day when he gets to school, he talks with one of his upperclassmen, Kaji, and he's like, "Hey, how are you able to rely on people so much? Like when you saved us a couple of days ago." And Kaji takes him up to the roof and says, "Well, I don't really know how I'm doing it. Like, because I told you before, I'm not good at this stuff either. But just I can tell what the problem is. Might think to yourself, oh, well, I'm scared my friends won't accept me, and you don't have to worry about that because they see it all over your face. You make it so obvious."
I think I like uh, the idea of having different reactions to somebody becoming that sick, and then trying to figure out how to be that better friend, but also not overdo it. It seems like that's a large part of this episode. Or am I right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And Kaji goes, "Look, look. We might be in similar boats because I don't know what you've been through. I'm not really interested at this point, but I understand what it's like to be for why it's hard to talk to other people and rely on them. But you always are concerned that people are going to give up on you and push you away and not let you in. But have you really been letting people in yourself?" I know it's hard, but you have, as a grade captain, you have to find a way to do that. And it's not phrased in the nicest way, but it's kind of a way of saying you can let people in. If you want people to accept you, you have to start accepting them too. And with everything Sakura's been through, you understand why it's kind of difficult for the guy.
I'll co-sign. This is maybe what I watch next. I've been debating Windbreaker for a while here.
Yeah. Yeah. And afterward, Kaji gets embarrassed and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I said too much." And you just hear somebody clapping, and Umemi is like, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you guys. This is great." Hey, and Hiragi next to him's just like, "Dude, it's like what we talked about earlier. Once somebody's super excited, and Hiragi's like, "I'm so sorry. We really did not mean to eavesdrop." And then Kaji gets nervous and punches out Umemi and runs away scared. I'm like, you're lucky you can get away with that because he could probably kick your ass, but Umemi and Loki deserved it.
It kind of sounds like it, like with the over sarcastic clapping.
No, that's the thing. He wasn't over sarcastic. He was legitimately happy and proud of them. He even says at the end of the episode, he's like, "Let's have a party and celebrate them." And Hiragi's like, "Absolutely not. Do you know how these guys do not do well with attention like this? Can we just leave it alone, please?"
Yeah. I assumed it was sarcastic. And
No, Umemi is not sarcastic in the slightest. I love him. He's he's amazing, but he's just a little enthusiastic about people. Oh, but it's kind of a serious part at the end because he looks at Hiragi and he's like, "Huh, he's starting to sound like an upperclassman, huh?" He's like, and Hiragi's like, "Yeah, I guess." And it showed like a little bit before that Hiragi actually had this conversation with Kaji. So Hiragi's passing it down to Kaji, Kaji's passing it down to Sakura. It's just showing that Hiragi, not the most important character, but it's just showing like, hey, it's your job to kind of help people, and you're doing a good job of it.
Well, sounds like a really overall like coming to terms with something that happened episode and growing from it.
Yeah, and some people don't like the episode because it's like, "Oh, there's no fighting in this episode." I'm like, you do realize that moments like this make us care about the characters so that when they start fighting, we still want to root for them? No? Oh, okay. Y'all, if you don't like not fighting in Windbreaker, the next few episodes are going to be rough for you. But I want to talk about that character another day.
All right. You ready to wrap up?
Let's do it. So, friends, what are some underrated anime episodes for you? Whether they're underrated, whether they're overhated, whichever one. They're kind of the same thing, but also kind of not.
Yeah. And do you agree or disagree with our lists? Do you have ones that you think, oh, these are perfectly rated exactly how badly they're taken sometimes?
Yeah, whether it involves Gray dancing with the fedora or girls going bowling in the Sengoku period, just let us know, I guess. But let us know. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. We'll see you next time. This has been Alex.
Richard.
And you've been listening to Anime Egotists. Good night, and peace easy.